Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists, Sundays deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. And welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have 2 new episodes of Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists for you. And then we will be hitting a dead end, I feel.
Yeah, it seems like we're careening toward one.
Oh, yeah.
Same complaint as last week. I think this just isn't a great show. Unless there's like something really cool out of the last couple episodes, I don't think we're... Which is unfortunate. You know, we always want I want to come in excited each week to like talk about it, but I think this has kind of left me cold.
I do think this is better than Ravenswood. It has a plot that you can actually follow. And I think that it's better than what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, interesting.
When they pitched this show and like when it was coming out, I was like, I don't want to watch this. Why do I want to watch a show about like Allie and Mona? They're probably like in France and doing Allie and Mona things, and you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And as like a PLL fan, I'm like, that's actually kind of fun in hindsight. But at the time, I was like, the show's over, it's done, like the storylines are done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, it's kind of settled into what I expected it to be, which is unfortunate. Which is like kind of doing similar things to Pretty Little Liars without changing things too much, and without being able to continue an exciting mystery like the way they had with PLL. Because with PLL, they're just starting to throw like wild shit all over the place, and this does not have that energy. And I think it's using some of PLL's worst impulses, and it's not working as well this time. So that's my yeah, well, I'll have to think about where I think in comparison to this in Ravenswood. It's probably better than Ravenswood, but...
It's better than Ravenswood, but that doesn't mean that it's more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Ravenswood, I was miserable. But it is like if we had binged Ravenswood, I would have been like, haha, what a fun short time. It was the fact that I kept having to come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's the longest, what was that, like 10 episodes? It was the longest 5 weeks. That felt like forever. I think we took a break in the middle of it because I was having such a hard time.
There's something about Ravenswood with like the Hat Man and like the weird horror stuff. And Miranda being... It's again, both had like really strong premises, and I don't think they did enough with them. And it's still, because they both kind of follow the same conventional structure. Ravenswood just happens to be cut off at 10 episodes, and this was supposedly built to be 10 episodes, even though it seems like both of those they were writing for like a 24 episode season. And why I say that is like if you look at other things that were even happening around this time. Like
I always thought Ravenswood didn't get picked up for its next 10 episodes. Like that was a mid-season. They shut it down.
Right, yeah. And whereas Perfectionists
is 10 episodes. Yeah.
But, like you mentioned last time. And we talked about this a little bit last time. But, you know, just with streaming shows that are 10 episodes, like we watched The Dead Boy Detectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they speed run a lot of the stuff that they're doing here so they can get through stuff. And, you know, however you feel about that, like that's just kind of like the structure of storytelling versus like giving yourself 10 episodes, or you prefer a 24 episode season. You know, that's just different ways of setting it up. But when you are writing something for 10 episodes, you have to move things along a bit faster, and you can't have these character downtime, these really character moments separated from the plot the way this does, without it feeling like you're going to be left unresolved at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I also just think they make some annoying choices this episode that I'll be annoyed about.
Well, yeah, they make some direct references to the original show, and in a way that's not like, I don't know, it's where it borderlines on like, okay, that's just like cringy versus like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I think
like if they talked about their past and like some of the stuff they do where they're like, oh yeah, like we're from Rosewood or whatever, like you're just like, haha, whatever. Or like when Mona's like, oh my gosh, you're from Pennsylvania, I'm from Rosewood, like that's fine to me. Like there's certain things like that are fine, like, But then when we were like, we're going to call him A.
Yeah.
And like Mona was A. And it's like, okay, but like, so were lots of other people.
And there could have been at least something interesting that they could have done with that. But instead, it's like a wink, wink, nod, nod at the audience. And it comes off really cloying.
Also, if Allie is such a unique person, like, which was the premise of the first show, why have we met so many blonde girls that are exactly like her? Like her and Cece are like, oh, we look alike.
We're the same.
Yeah.
Who is the one a town over?
Sarah Harvey?
God. Okay. I had completely divorced in my brain the like Sarah Harvey that we find there, and then Sarah Harvey that they talk about earlier in the show. Yep, Sarah Harvey.
I was like, what do you mean?
She was like really important at the end, kind of.
Yeah.
And then Taylor now.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems like they're slow rolling a mystery, and again, you only have 10 episodes. Ooh, can we trust Taylor? No. But we haven't done anything interesting with Taylor to be invested in that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we can get into these complaints and more. Starting with episode 7, Dead Week. Mona arrives back at her apartment and notices her front door is open. Remember last episode, she'd gotten a notification on Taylor's beacon guard that no one was at her apartment. She finds a large gift box on her desk. She opens it to find cupcakes in it that spell out, "Can we be pals?" with 2 eyes at the
These
bottom.
distinctively look like Sprinkles cupcakes, like where they have they're flat on the top. I was just like, do you think these are Sprinkles cupcakes?
Maybe.
I haven't bought a Sprinkles cupcake in a long time because then I have food allergies, so I really can't. They don't really vibe with that energy. But I was like, oh, I feel like that looks like
They brought in sprinkles?
yeah, but I don't know for sure. I just thought it was really funny.
I could see it. Dylan, Ava, and Caitlin are at her parents' place, Caitlin's parents' place, and her mom has gone back to DC. Caitlin is worried about studying for midterms and doesn't want to take things easy, especially since after like getting out of the hospital, especially since Ava and Dylan aren't resting either, because this is how it is at BHU. They agree to stick together and not let Booker distract them until after their midterms. Taylor tells Allison that the beacon guard in Allison's home isn't scary. It does monitor everything happening in the house, though. She just doesn't mention any audio or video coming through. Taylor thanks her for, it's like more like, oh, it can see if like someone comes into your home, like your Wi-Fi router, like track all those things. Taylor thanks her for letting her crash there. Claire is going to tell the media that Taylor ran away because she couldn't handle the pressure from BHU. Allison says she knows Claire is happy Taylor's back. Taylor says, I think you're right, but it'll take me a bit to trust her, and until then, I can only trust you. Allie says, I was afraid of my mom, but you shouldn't be afraid of yours. Ooh. Allie struggles to schedule FaceTime with her children. Allison says, thank you for trusting me, and Taylor says, my brother trusted you. That's enough for me. Allison visits the Perfectionists while they study. She tells them that Taylor is alive. They wonder why Caitlin says her family was devastated, and Ava said Nolan was devastated too. And Allison's like, well, your boyfriend knew, he just didn't tell you because he was trying to keep you safe because someone tried to kill Taylor. Ava asks if it's possibly the same person that killed Nolan. Allie says, I hope Taylor can help us find out. Dylan says, I think it's Dana who hit Caitlin with a car. Cut to being at Allie's, and Mona is there being upset about them suspecting Booker. She thinks Taylor's suspicious and thinks Taylor's the one who left the cupcakes. She mentions seeing Nolan's tag at her place to everybody, and Allison's like, how did you know his like tracker, his like GPS was there? She's like, I stole Taylor's RV, okay? Mona and Allison talk about A and being in the bunker, and the Perfectionists are confused about this because they don't know anything about what happened in Rosewood. Mona says Taylor isn't an A. The Perfectionists are like, well, Dana must be an A. Allie says she'll speak to Taylor later and hopefully get a suspect to pin on Nolan's murder. Mona says she'll figure out who gave her the cupcakes. Ava and Zach are paired together for a midterm thing. They have to like write a paper. It's for an art history class, and they have to work together to figure out that in this little puzzle piece, what that like matches to, like what like art piece it matches to. It's like a little small section of it. Zach is stuck working at the cafeteria while they study, and Ava just kind of following him around. Ava wants to put together a search query on her computer to find the picture for them, and Zach calls it cheating. or a script to put together like a search query so it'll like run through like images. Zach makes a comment about her dad and cheating and walks away. Dylan comes in and says he's getting an incomplete grade because his hand is hurting to play. He doesn't want to jeopardize his scholarship by his disability. Andrew walks up and Dylan asks if he got his text, and Anne's like, couldn't make the fashion show, but congratulates Ava on it. Ava's like, Dylan rocked it. You should have seen him. And then Andrew leaves. Dylan says he hates me, and Ava's like, he only hates you because he loves you. No, it's because you cheated on him. Caitlin studies with Jeremy, who strips.
It is so. I'm like, Ava, girly, get your nose out of this business.
Mm-hmm. Ava's just like, no, you love him so much, and it's like, he did something bad.
Did something really bad.
Also, Andrew, like, this boy makes the worst decisions at every single term. You were probably the only good decision he's ever made. This boy can't make a good decision to save his life.
Imagine being told they're the only good decision someone's ever made. Ego boost, but also like a horrible representation of your choices.
Well, you know, at least at BHU. We don't know what he did beforehand.
That's true.
Caitlin studies with Jeremy, and he strips as she gets her answers right. Very Spencer-coded. She's also with a British man. Extremely Spencer-coded. Jeremy wonders why Taylor would put Claire through this. The show then later comments that this is Spencer-code, and I go, this is stolen valor from me. Caitlin says...
I called it first.
Yeah, the only person that made this connection. Caitlin says sometimes moms disappoint. Jeremy says, I understand it's hard keeping a secret, but it'll be okay. He strips, and they have a heart-to-heart about no longer sneaking around and seeing each other in public, and then they have sex. At the RV, Mona can't find who's using Nolan's ID card. She can track where it was used, but not see someone on campus. Mona doesn't not see in the cameras on campus of like who this person is that used it. Mona doesn't trust Taylor because of her private beacon guard stuff, but Allie wants to trust her. Mona found that she has biometric patterns of everybody and can scan everyone's walking gait, so would somehow be able to use this to match the fake Nolan. I'm confused by this, but go Mona. The Perfectionists have lunch at the cafe, and Ava and Dylan discuss Booker and Taylor and Beacon Guard, and Caitlin's like, we're supposed to be studying, okay? They see Booker watching them in the corner, and she comes over to their table. She says a boy turned himself in for hitting Caitlin. He was a minor, so the details weren't released to the public. Case closed. Booker says, you're studying together like real friends now. That's a game changer. Dylan's like, we're not playing games. Booker says, you started it, and I'll finish it.
This whole thing is so fucking weird. Like, imagine you're in college and an adult woman
Former FBI agent
who's like the on-campus police is like, you started this game, I'll finish it. Like, I would fucking like call the dean or like just be like, are you good?
She's
This woman is not okay.
No, not at all. But
how did she get this job?
It seems like she is doing her job effectively. It seems like she is doing the job that is being set by her, because Claire
wants her to put the pressure on. Okay, that's true.
So this is playing into PLL's.
The adults are corrupt.
Yeah, and specifically police. So
we do love that.
But it is unhinged. Like, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the real cops and police and people have done a whole bunch of horrible things, but. You'd think this show would try something fresh.
Oh, no. We're about to get way more not fresh stuff. Just even going back to the freaking stripping while they're doing testing, like while they're studying. I'm like, this is
okay, but
PLL
making
stuff.
men with abs get naked is not just PLL.
Right, but when it's, yeah, true. But when you stack it on a bunch of other things,
yeah,
like Nolan in a Santa outfit, with his shirt off, and I go, really, we're back to this again?
That one got me good. Not in a good way.
No.
At least they didn't make him, he wore his regular sweatpants, they didn't make him wear the shorts.
And she's like, ooh la la, as he goes, ho ho ho, and it's like, oh, good God.
You're making me watch. You don't want to role play as Santa?
No. Even if you can make all kinds of puns about sex. He's strictly for gift giving in the not sexual way.
Okay, well, I won't bring Santa up in the bedroom.
Thank you. No more calling me a naughty boy.
Just ho-ho-hoing.
Dylan and Caitlin talk on the phone about Booker's Closing the case. She arrives at her internship interview with a bunch of young politicians all dressed the exact same as her. One person notices her. It's like, oh my God, it's her. We should just leave now. I heard she doesn't eat. Taylor watches the news about it.
What does it have to do with anything?
She's a robot.
Okay. I was like, she's like, that's not, I mean, it's not funny. I'm like, she has an eating disorder? Like, what does that mean?
Well, of course, these kids would think that. Taylor watches the news about her coming home as Allison comes back with food. They have a heart-to-heart about running away in public scrutiny. Taylor worries about being a target again now that she's back in town. Yeah. Allison asks how it was being out there all alone with no technology, and Taylor's like, it was freeing. I was out from under Beacon Guard. I was living my best life, just disconnected. No Facebook, no Instagram. People couldn't contact me.
Me when I put down my phone for 4 hours. I'm like, ooh, I'm just part of the earth, and I'm just connected. I just feel so free.
Humans weren't meant to be inside. Caitlin interviews for her internship, and she gets a softball question about being on Survivor or The Bachelor, and she's like, why don't we talk about laws? And then the interviewer's like, I've seen your resume, it's impressive. And then, do you like pets? Do you have any pets? Or like, what about taco or pizza? And Caitlin is all confused and starts short-circuiting. The interviewer says,
okay, but taco or pizza?
Pizza.
I love tacos, though.
I do.
That's a really hard question.
Yeah, I love tacos. Let me be clear. The interviewer says you'll be working with Senator Hastings. See, I like this sort of wink, wink, nod.
Yeah.
Stuff. And you'll be working with her constituents directly, and we need to know who the real Caitlin is. Allison holds a study group, but they're distracted by the news on Taylor. Allison says, I get it, but you all need to focus. Dylan comes and asks to speak to her alone, and she's like, well, okay, I'll leave. He's like, I'm getting it incomplete. Allison's like, well, you can apply to take the class next quarter. And Dylan's like, well, an incomplete is worse than an F around here. And she's like, fine, I'll talk to your professor. Ava gets a text from Zach that he can't make studying, that he has work. She packs her bag to go to him. She arrives, but he's not working in the cafeteria. But Andrew's there and talks to him and asks where Zach is. And he's like, I haven't seen him. Ava then sits down and is like, well, we missed you at the fashion show, especially Dylan. Andrew's like, I missed a performance. I wanted to go, but what would that say? And Ava says, but you love him, right? You don't have to forgive. That's your choice. I had my heart broken by someone I loved, and now they're gone. I wish I had a second chance. And Andrew takes the slice of pizza that she brought over and steps away. Ava then, or he says thanks to the pizza, and Ava steps away. She asks someone working there where Zach is, and they're like, well, he's not working until later tonight. And Ava then leaves him an angry voicemail about him lying. Mona meets with Mason. He is there because she's a, like, like a student counselor.
He's an advisor.
Advisor, thank you. And he's like, I don't know if I belong here at BHU. Since Nolan's death, I've been distracted and a real jerk. Mona's asked to whom. He's like, to everybody, including Nolan's friends. And now Taylor's alive? She snapped under the pressure, and it could be me. Mona says Dead Week is about learning to structure and prioritize your work. And so, like, you can set up your schedule however you want. Focus on your hobbies instead. And he's like, well, I play piano. And Mona's like, well, go play that piano. And he's like, thank you. I'll be rare the rest of the day, just raring to go on the keys. And she's like, yes, helped another kid.
But doesn't he actually say that
piano is the
music
of the, God, what was it?
I don't know. It's the same
we
thing.
get that quote later about chess.
Brenton's not happy about this plot line either.
No, I don't like Mason. I think he's a bad character. Like, not as in, like, morally, like, bad.
He just exists to serve the plot.
Yeah. I hate this, like, well, I mean, he did have, like, a severe head trauma, and now he's, like, completely done a 180, so maybe that's the change in the personality.
Well, and if he'd been the Mason we met at the funeral, and then he hadn't done the weird stuff in the middle, and they'd been this person, it would have been fine, but, like...
Yeah. I wish if they already introduced the Edge, you gotta leave some of that there. He's an asshole. But now he's just like, oh, I've repented. Which, again, he got a poker to the back of the head, so maybe that jostled some things. Caitlin studies at the cafeteria. Jeremy texts her to confirm their date. She's like, yes, and I take the interview. She realizes talking to the worker at the cafeteria that she's like, I could have just been myself. Wow, I gotta go. Ava sees Zach working trash duty and then is like, uh-oh. I left a really angry, mean voicemail for him. Caitlin goes back and stops the interview, and it's like, I tried too hard. Can I have a do-over? And she's like, well, that wouldn't be fair to the other candidates. And Caitlin's like, it doesn't have to count. You asked me who the real Caitlin is, but I've never asked that myself. I'd like to see if I can answer your question. The interviewer's like, gee whiz, I'd like to see if you can too. Well, you just gave her a second chance. Mona visits Allison at a bench on campus. She's like, sorry, I was right about Taylor. And Allison's like, I just wish things could be drama free. Mona says, if you think you're a drama magnet, you can change it, reinvent yourself, and follow through. Isn't that why you're here? Allison's like, well, when she goes home, she's gonna ask Taylor to leave. Mona's like, I don't know what Taylor's doing, but until we know more, be careful. She gets a notification to play more chess with Bad Bishop. And she gets a message that says, chess is the art of math. Oh, so that was the same thing. Piano is the art of math. And realizes she knows who BB is. Womp womp. Dylan puts on a classical record and looks it up online, and somehow he sees that like it's not in circulation. I think like there's no copies on Discogs, so like he's like, oh, I'll be safe copying this. I think that's what we're supposed to get from it. I didn't really follow what he was looking up on the internet. Either way, he rips the record to his laptop and then submits it as his work. Andrew then comes in and says, you hurt me, and Dylan says, I'm sorry. Andrew finds her favorite record and puts it on. Him and Dylan slow dance, and Andrew says he wants to come home, and Dylan says, you are home. Andrew says, from now on, we're totally honest, and Dylan's like, no more secrets, as he looks sadly at his laptop. Ava studies for art history and then has a breakthrough. She visits Zach at the cafeteria and apologizes for the mean message. She hands him a folder, says, you were right, because they had an argument earlier in the episode about like where the puzzle piece was actually from, and he was right, and so she typed up the paper that matched the painting.
It was like a Italian painting inspired by a French painting, or vice versa.
Yeah,
because it was about the brush strokes, and they both were like, oh, these two different types of paintings have similar brush strokes.
Gotcha.
Welcome to Art History with Emily.
Yeah.
Who was the painter? Don't know.
I took 0 art classes, so I can't speak to any of this.
Me neither, but I've gone to a lot of museums and I listened to the dialogue in the episode.
Yeah. I didn't. Jeremy, at least not to that piece.
I don't know if it was accurate, but that's what they said.
Jeremy waits in the cafeteria as Caitlin shows up and reintroduces herself, and he's delighted. Mona goes to the music department and sees Mason playing piano. She opens the door and is like, you told me music was the art of math. And they realize they've been playing chess together. Mona gets a notification that she got a match for someone's gate, and then follows the tracker out through BHU. Caitlin and Jeremy enjoy their date, and Caitlin's happy about how she can be honest about herself. Allison comes home to find Taylor with their bags packed. Taylor's like, I have to go back into the woods. I left something out there who can help us find out who killed my brother. Allison's like, your beacon guard. And Taylor's like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I wanted to wait to see if I could trust you. Allie says, I have it. Well, my friend does, but it's safe. Taylor says, I can't stay here forever. I came back to find out who killed Nolan. I have to start being a Hotchkiss again. Zach tells Ava he doesn't want her shortcut work, and Ava's like, I did the work. Your theory was right. Zach says he's sorry that he was mean to her. He didn't actually know the real her. He shouldn't have taken out on her. They make nice, and Ava goes to Caitlin and Dylan. They see Booker, and Dylan and Ava try to they continue to like call her A and on. It's ugh. Over the intercom, the piece that Dylan stole plays. Dylan looks over and Booker looks all happy. And then Dylan tells Ava and Caitlin that he did something that could get him kicked out of the school, and Booker knows. Mona follows the tracker into the cafeteria straight to Booker, and Booker glares at her. Allie FaceTimes with her kids. As Mona comes in, Mona says, I refuse to be a doll. You're right about Booker. Let's take that bitch down. The end.
Who put the sprinkles cupcakes in Mona's apartment?
It's probably Booker.
Okay, you think it is?
Yeah, I think she's on the money with that one. And I think because the tracker leads directly to her, and I can see Booker being like, "Hey, come on, let's work together." And also, like, Mona's on the staff, so she could potentially be like, "Hey, work together." And whatever Mona was doing in the first episode, where she was talking to the people in the white room,
in the mirror,
right? Which she brings up mirrors.
Later. Yeah, we get that in the next episode. Okay, let's talk about Beacon Guard. We get an info dump really quickly from Taylor. Well, it's kind of like an info like vomit, because it's not really like a long dump.
Mm-hmm.
And like how I said that, we're going to go with it. I am great at words. Thank you so much.
It's like Taylor was a little backed up.
Good God. But somehow, Beacon Guard is in their homes and all of that, and it's a motion detector, but it's not a camera.
Mm-hmm. It's like a security. It literally is a security system in that sense.
But do we believe that it's not a camera? Because Mona talked to the mirror in Allie's apartment when she brought pie.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah, and she talked to the mirror in other places and stuff. So
In the bathroom.
maybe Taylor's telling like half truths of like, oh, that module is fine. You don't have to be scared of that. It's camera here, camera here, camera here, camera here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she's playing cagey in that way, or maybe because Taylor should know. She's like getting people's like gate information and has like access to cameras. Also, and never mind. I was gonna be like thinking there was a plot hole or something, but no, we're good.
Let's talk about the gate pattern thing. Why is Taylor tracking anyone's gate pattern to begin with?
Yeah.
What does that tell you? I don't know.
I was super confused by this specific piece of like how this would match to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So because she was never able to get on camera where the card was being used. So how would someone's gate be able to match something that you don't already have a recording of?
So does it like does Beacon Guard in your apartment record gate pattern but not you?
Okay, wait.
Maybe like sensors?
Maybe. I'm assuming that was like something from your phone. Because it would seem like it would have to have like an accelerometer that would have to like be able to like go back and tell that you can go back and forth.
They'd never know with me because my phone has never once recorded my steps correctly a day in my life.
Right.
Brenton and I will go on the same walk together and I'll have like 5,000 less steps. Like no exaggeration.
Mona's like, for whatever reason, she's trying to track you. It's like, for whatever reason, it looks like she's just hovering across campus.
She just glides.
So, okay, maybe can kind of figure it out. So if it's tracking no one's cell phone or something, right? Whatever the GPS tracker is, it's matching the gate as it's being used.
That was Nolan's key card.
Oh, key card,
Nolan's
right.
key card was used to get into her apartment.
So then it's maybe matching how the key card was then picked up and moved across campus like this. So, like, there's a specific gate to whoever had it in their pocket. So then that's how you match it?
Weird ass shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know enough of this to, like, understand it. And I don't know if they knew enough of this to understand it. Or, if, did they just not explain it well? Or are we just not very smart?
Yeah.
Let us know if you get this.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Let us know if you have an explanation. In terms of like recording people's like gait patterns, it seems to me like what we're finding with lots of really invasive or lots of places that just record like all kinds of like data, even if they don't specifically use, like, even if Facebook is not using, say, accelerometer data from your phone, but they have it because of like your Facebook or your Threads account. It seems like they're like collecting large amounts of information, and it could potentially be, I don't know what the in-universe mystery quite yet would be, but it seems like maybe the biometric data that they're kind of collecting there is potentially being just like the gate information is probably just, I don't know what the term for it is called, where you just have an abundance of like all this extra junk data essentially just sitting in a repository.
So is Taylor the one who programmed this gate software, or is this part of regular Beacon Guard and Taylor just has access to it?
I think the tracking, I think it is part of Beacon Guard. Okay. I think Taylor just has like an instance of Beacon Guard.
Okay.
So it's like she just has like admin access to be able to get to the data. And then Mona is running scripts on top of it to like run matches. And then there's Mona's program doing God knows what.
Okay.
But it seems like there's also some sort of biomedical thing happening, because if there's... Is Jeremy doing something? But no, he just does large data.
Maybe he's summarizing all this data. I could have
sworn he was a doctor in like the pilot.
Me too. Remember, I kept saying that.
Yeah, he was like in Scrubs.
Was he?
I thought so. But then later, now he's working.
Have we just made that up?
Also, please let us know if we're making this up.
We're so confused by this show. Okay.
Because none of this actually matters to the show. The show is not concerned with this. The show is concerned with putting on fashion shows or like the characters' love lives, right? Like, and I think that's one of the frustrating parts is like the mystery for this 10 episode thing is not there. It's non-existent.
Yeah, it got a little lost. Okay, so Allison goes, "My mom buried me alive, but yours loves you." Allison, how do you know?
No, she did. That's the worst advice on the face of the planet. And it all, yeah.
How do you know? Allison's like, "Well, I know a mother's love."
Because I have 2 kids that I ditched back in Rosewood with their other mother. It's so
And their father's a British man.
He's forever preserved.
As a diamond. Oh, do you think he's the diamond in her ring?
That'd be great. She's carrying around Ren everywhere she goes.
Where do you think Ren ended up? Does
Maybe
Mona have him? Or does Alex Drake still have him?
Right. And then Alex just, when she took him with him when she left. Maybe Mona had it and stored it somewhere because it's like, no, you have to dress a certain way when you're in the dollhouse.
What if we just see Mona wearing like the diamond necklace? We'll have to look and see what the necklace looked like.
I know.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, we got to spot this.
Okay, see, that's the kind of thing I want.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if Melissa had been doing the interview. You know what I mean? Like for Caitlyn, like that's the kind of thing I want. I don't want A.
Yeah.
We already figured out who A was and we weren't happy with it.
Like it would be more interesting if they organically stumbled onto, or we had a moment where they ask about what happened in Rosewood to them, and it somehow is germane to the plot, not just like wink, wink, nod, nod, and it's not very funny jokes.
Mm-hmm. Who do we think tried to kill Taylor, or did anyone try to kill Taylor? Is Taylor just making this up?
Girl cried wolf. I am assuming someone tried to come after her.
Okay.
Especially with the warning from, oh no, what's his name? With an R, because now I only have Raymond.
Was it Ray?
Was it Roy?
I thought it was Ray.
It might be Ray. Okay, I was thinking that was from Ravenswood. Ray something. It is Ray something, isn't it?
I think it's Ray.
It should be not this one. Go back in my notes. Yeah, it's Ray.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. You're
Yep.
getting there, baby.
Okay. I thought, is it also? Who cares about Rosewood? We can move on.
I don't remember her uncle's name. So who killed Nolan? It's casually gonna throw that out there.
$1 million question. I would like it to be Mason.
Okay.
Because I would like Mason, if he's going to be involved, to at least have something going on.
Okay. That's fair.
Something interesting. And I think it's maybe only I think he feels bad and was kind of being used but by whatever's going on with like Beacon Guard and stuff, like turned him against Nolan essentially.
So do you think Mason then has an angle with like why do you think he knows he's been playing Mona? Like,
I think he does, but I think he's also very repentant about what he did. So he's like feeling conflicted about like his position being influenced by Beacon Guard or whatever that is.
or by like, and do you think he truly feels like, oh, I was just doing this because I wanted to be cool like Nolan?
No, I think it was like a failed bid, and then like, damn, Caitlyn's got hands. So okay, actually, there's what I think and what I hope. That's what I hope.
Okay.
Where it's playing right now is that it's very much like he's turned over a new leaf. This is the new Mason.
Okay, I respect that.
So this is just like my hopeful theory.
Speaking of Caitlyn, who has hands, why is Jeremy asking Caitlyn so many questions about Taylor?
Does seem interesting, doesn't it? Especially like with whatever he's doing next episode. We have to remember that he works for Claire.
Mm-hmm. And he's
And
got a
they're
bunch
large-
of files locked on his computer.
Exactly, on the large data models that he does.
Do we think Booker's actually involved in covering up Caitlyn's car accident, or do you think it was a teen driver?
Oh, I think it's definitely involved.
Okay. Caitlyn's
But I'm assuming they don't know. I'm assuming they have no idea.
okay.
Right? And is trying to throw them off.
So do you think Booker knows who hit Caitlyn with the car? Okay.
No,
Okay,
I
that's
don't
what you're
think so.
saying. Okay. Caitlin's interview is so fucking stupid. Like you could ask personality questions, but like at the end of the day, they need to make sure you actually know how to do the job. And if it's like talking to constituents, then they would have had her prep. Like she would have known that like that was the job, and she would have prepped for like questions, like good questions to ask, and how to ask questions, and how to talk to people.
Yeah.
It makes no fucking sense. It's a weird scene. It's like a whole
Right.
weird concept. It's like she doesn't know who she is. Like, what do you mean?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's very weird.
She doesn't know, because really what it's going to be is like, you're really impressive on paper, and that means you're going to work really hard filing a bunch of copies and printing a bunch of things for us and like signing the name.
She is surveying people.
Right.
And it's going to be like, here's your list of questions you ask.
I'm just thinking of like internship. It's like she's probably going to be putting stamps with like Veronica's like signature on it, on like letters.
What kind of music teacher would have you upload a recording and not a video? Like, and also, isn't this an in-person school? Why can't you just perform it?
Yeah, why wouldn't you do it in person?
It's just so weird. I'm like, oh, they want it. Like, this is not COVID times. This is pre-COVID times.
That's right. Literally 1 year.
They wanted them to cheat.
Apparently. I mean, the professor couldn't be fussed by having them all come in.
Yeah, and Dylan just has to make a mess for himself.
Dylan. Bad choices at every single turn. I do love at the beginning of next episode, though, that everybody yells at him.
Mm-hmm. So the professor that assigned Ava's midterm is an absolute menace. What the hell is that? Here's this like obscure section of a painting, and you must identify it.
That's terrible.
And
how would you
blown
be able to
up?
figure that out?
Like it's not even small.
Yeah.
Oh, it would drive me insane.
That's a terrible assignment. And then write a paper on it.
But it did put Zach and Ava together. So are we getting an enemies to lovers?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it seems all right. The only
you didn't sound happy. That's why. I asked.
Yeah. Here's the trouble.
Okay. Right here in the first.
What do you? I think we're kind of like really glossing over like how much Zach would still or should still hate Ava. She's going to school on his money.
But he doesn't know that.
Yeah, but he should, because like even if he, well, how else is she going to school other than her parents' money?
She has a business.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Then my other piece
and
is,
she could have had her own money that was, you know what I mean, like set aside.
All right. My other piece is that it's like, well, I was wrong about you. I shouldn't judge on your parents, where it's like, it's okay, even though she was just like, I can't believe you have 2 jobs. And she doesn't help him out at all.
Well, she did. She wrote the paper for him.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if she also has a job that she uses to pay things, she could probably like help give back some of his money that her dad stole from.
We don't know how much she's making. I guess there is that. So,
Yeah.
But I think it's a good cover for her not, you know, like, it's like, oh, she's making money through this.
Yeah. And that's that's like my other thing of like, I feel like this show is with some of the jokes and things like that. And especially when the next episode really start using the hashtags and things, and it drives me nuts. It's like, man, this was written by old people.
Yeah. Well, and it was also, it's just not, it's not written well. I've noticed this in like more and more things lately, or sometimes even things I read, that like people think dialogue has to constantly be witty, and it makes it insufferable.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just have a conversation, and the purpose of the conversation is to get to the point.
Yeah. Joss Whedon ruined everything.
And it's like, a lot of the time it's not good. A lot of people are not as witty as they think they are.
No, comedy is extremely hard.
When it's subjective.
Yeah.
So like other people are like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I'm like, I just want to know who stole the whatever, or, you know, who killed Nolan.
Yeah. But a reason also of like tying back to like written by older people, and like we'll be getting to PLL Original Sin and Ravens and Riverdale, and that's also written by older people, but like there's a difference to it and a little bit more kitschier that makes it a little more fun.
Yes, you have to be, if you can be cringy if it's intentional.
Yeah.
So if you are intentionally trying to be camp or cringy or of a specific time comedy, that is one thing. But that takes a lot of effort and research. That's not...
And that's not just the script. Like, so... Oh, and the other thing is that, like, I don't think they would know what Ava would actually do as an influencer.
No, it seems like they don't really understand what her job is.
No. She just kind of does school.
We don't see a lot of their lives. That's one of the things I wrote down was like, we don't see a lot of like Allison and Taylor at Allison's house. We don't see a lot of these characters at home in their day-to-day lives. And I know we only get 10 episodes, but like that seems like that would have been a better use of time than like taking off Jeremy's clothes or having Ava find out that the guy that she works on the project with has 2 jobs. And
right.
You know what I mean? Just
yeah, like we don't really need that. And we don't need Mason and Mona. We don't need a lot of things. Yeah. I think a lot of next episode of like their romantic stuff, I feel like the only romantic through line you kind of really needed there was maybe Allison's, if you're following along her plot line of just
her and Emily.
Yeah, but even then I don't
No,
think
it was
really
completely
hits.
useless. Yeah, and it was also weird because like we can get to it when we get to it, but it's the idea that this man's in an open relationship but like didn't tell Allison. So like there's no consent there. She's not consenting to be a part of this.
It is really funny. It's like, oh, shame on you for being so judgmental, thinking I was cheating. She's like, well, I hope we can be friends. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, you have to tell people.
Yeah.
Like some people want to be in a monogamous situation. Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's allowed, but you got to communicate.
Yeah.
You got to use your words.
Mm-hmm.
How does Booker know what Dylan did?
Beacon guard. She like does this next episode, and that's what's so infuriating is they toss this stuff over of just like beacon guard, duh.
But like,
it's like
is Beacon Guard recording him in his apartment? Then how does it know? How does she know that he recorded it off? She would have just heard the music playing.
Yeah, she probably could have like ran it through like match this.
But he looked it up so that we knew that you couldn't just try to match it.
He found it. He's like, who else would know about this 1918 record?
Oh yeah, you're right.
So that's why I was super confused by that. It's just like, but it's right there. Yeah. Is there just no copies like available?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, that's what I have for you for that episode.
All right. You can move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8, Hook, Line, and Booker. The 5
Brenton thought this was okay. So the title for the last episode was Dead Week, which I'm kind of sad they didn't do more with because I'm like, that's a fun title. Anyway, but this, like, I wanted a dead body.
No one ended up dead, yeah.
Yeah. But this episode, Brenton sees the title and he's like, that's a good title. And then he reads it out loud and he goes, maybe not.
On first blush. The 5 all meet to try and figure out how to get close to Booker. It's Staff Appreciation Day, so the kids will be able to get close to her, apparently. This doesn't really happen, though. Mona says, keep your mouth shut. Even in the bathrooms on campus, Beacon Guard is monitoring. This is never touched upon again. They ask how Mona knows, and she says she figured out she was being watched and was brought in. Again, they don't ask.
I would have been so, like, imagine if you found out that the mirrors in the bathroom were watching you. That's like everyone's worst fear.
Right. And then we'd be like, what do you mean brought in? Explain. Yeah. Especially the mirrors in the bathroom, like that violates so much.
Also, it's like in the first episode, Mona was like wearing an earpiece or something because they told her to go to her safe space.
Yeah.
And then she just never wears it again?
Nope. But we get the mention of the safe space again in this episode.
Yeah, that's why I thought of it.
I don't know. Dylan confesses to submitting the piece of music and everybody is pissed at him. Ava is going to hack into the portal and delete his file before it gets to the professor. Allison says we have Taylor on our side also. Ava tries to hack while Dylan waits nervously. Ava asks Caitlin how well she knows Jeremy. She's like, because she's borrowing his laptop to do this, she says some of his files on his hard drive are really locked down, like military-grade security. She deletes the file for Dylan and wonders what Jeremy does at Hotchkiss. Apparently, he now works there. Taylor,
we knew that.
Yeah, he like had his proposal or whatever with Claire done, so yeah. Taylor and Claire are on campus for Staff Appreciation Day. She commiserates with Allison about all the stares and being back. Claire won't leave Taylor's side. Allison asks if she's found anything about Booker or the investigation, but she says she hasn't. Allison says Mona has a plan. She's going to get into her head at the staff speed round game later. Mona comes up and introduces herself to Taylor and says, "Hi, I'm Mona. I stole your IV." Allison asks them to play nice. Allison walks away and Mona pulls her in and says, "You may be in the circle, but you'll never be in the circle." And then she gets a text from Mason to play in person. She says, "Okay, where?" Zach comes to Ava's place. They got 100% on their midterm. Ava calls the two of them Zava. Hashtag Zava.
Womp womp.
We're getting a lot of out-of-date references in this episode. Also, like she literally goes like Brangelina. I was really upset when they broke up. Womp womp. They flirt and get along okay. She laughs and snorts, and he's like, "Nice laugh, Jalali." And then she has a flashback. Her and Nolan are walking through campus, all dressed up around Christmas.
This is the weirdest.
Nolan gets the 12 days of Christmas wrong, and she laughs and snorts, and he's like, "I love your laugh, Jalali." Back in the present, Ava comes back from her reverie. Zach says hashtag Ava again and heads for class, and we all want to die a little. And while Ava stays behind for a bit, she sits sad on her bed. Dylan comes to see his professor. His professor's like, "This submission is amazing. I'm submitting it to the Davis Concerto competition, and by next year you could be world famous." And Dylan's like, "I don't know what to say," and then walks away. Should have stopped it there. Jeremy and Caitlin hang out doing work. Jeremy helps train people at Hotchkiss, apparently, learn how to use their proprietary software. Caitlin asks about his laptop, and he's like, "Why are you suddenly so curious?" And Caitlin's like, "I'm just interested." Allie and Mona participate in speed round. The professor of language studies named Gabriel sits down across from Allie, and Allie is charmed by this man, and she messes up her Spanish, and he's like, "Oh, you need a tutor." She's like, "Maybe I do," and then walks away like, "Ooh." Taylor sits down at Mona's table. Taylor gives Mona her phone that has a voice stress analyzer on it, and Mona can use it to tell if Booker is lying or telling the truth. So what they're going to do is they're going to get a baseline from Booker here, where she's telling the truth, and then later catch her in a lie.
I wrote down at this part, Taylor's the weirdest girl you're ever going to meet. She's like, "Don't worry, I got an app for that."
And here, borrow my phone. And then Taylor gets up and Booker sits down across from Mona. Mona gives her softball questions. And Booker's like, "Why did you bring Allie to BHU? And where's your safe space?" And Mona's like, "Why did you get into law enforcement?" Booker says, "My sister killed herself and the bullies got away with it." Mona says, "Isn't it strange? Sometimes we become the things we hate. How do you look at yourself in the mirror?" Zach visits Ava after class. She never showed up and is drinking. He asks why she's so sad now. Ava said, "You remind me of someone I lost." And he's like, "Why are you wearing Nolan's shirt?" And she's like, "He didn't have anything else for me to wear the first time I came over." He's like, "I thought him and Caitlin were a thing." And she's like, "Well, it's complicated." And he's like, "Well, sorry for your loss," and leaves. Dylan comes home to Booker in his living room. She's like, "I know about your injury and the original and your recording you sent over." She's like, she says she knows because of Beacon Guard. She's like, "You need to tell me one thing. Where was Allison, Caitlin, and Ava the night Nolan was killed? I know it wasn't you because you don't fight back. You don't have it in you."
So fucked up.
Spineless worm.
She's like, "You're so weak. Tell me."
You're such a pushover.
It's like the exact opposite way of getting someone to tell you something too.
I know. Just be super mean to him. "If you do tell me, you won't be expelled, and I can also throw in an alibi for you and make sure your friends don't know you ratted him out." Think it over and leaves. Ava and Caitlin are at her place. Dylan doesn't want to see them. Caitlin tells her that Jeremy and her have been dating for a year and tells her about her mom having an affair and Nolan having pictures. Ava's like, "Well, you probably wondered why I loved him." Caitlin's like, "I used to know that good side of him." Ava says, a guy made me laugh today like the way Nolan used to make me laugh, and I felt like I was betraying Nolan." And Caitlin's like, "Do you like this guy?" And Ava's like, "I don't know, maybe." And Caitlin says, "Well, then Nolan would want you to be happy." And she says Jeremy wouldn't give her a straight answer on his laptop, and that's not like him. So she's going to get it to the bottom of it. And then Dylan texts them to meet at the quad. Allison and Gabriel Gabriel's over at Allison's. He asks how she does TAing while getting her master's. He talks about teaching ballroom dancing and puts on music to give her a lesson. Her alarm goes off and she's like, "I really have to get back to the mixer." She thanks Gabriel for the dance and the midday wine. Mona meets Mason to play chess. They touch hands in the middle of it, changing the clock. And Mona tells him they can't do this. He's like, "We're just playing chess." And Mona's like, "We're not." Allison sees Dylan yelling at Ava and Caitlin about his professor receiving the file. Allison sees Booker watching and yells at them to not do this here. And then Mona and Allison stare down Booker. Claire gives a speech to the staff about a more balanced approach for the university and not just being about success. Allison and Taylor are shocked by her change. It means nothing. What is the university what going to do? It's not going to be about success.
It is. That's what schools
But
are.
if you do have an F, we will kick you out. Yeah, it's so vague, but
They're
they're
trying
like,
to change the culture, but they don't really say that.
right. BHU is going to undergo a vibe shift.
This school is no longer all about academics. Okay.
go on?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, wow, she's changed. Gabriel comes up and steals Allison away, and Taylor watches them. Caitlin comes home to find Jeremy. Jeremy asks if she's been to his computer, and she says no. And then he packs up quickly and goes, and he's like, I love you. It's just like really awkward. It's like he like shuffles. It's like the vibe is that he's like shuffling to the door, just like staring at
Yeah.
Mono
Yeah.
Mono comes.
British men do weird shit on this show.
Gotta watch out for him. Mona comes up to Taylor and surprises her while she watches Allison and Gabriel. Mona says she's keeping her phone for a while, and Taylor says, well, make it quick. I need to find out who killed my brother. Taylor sees her mom giving an interview about hopefully the university will be a leader for broader change at other universities too. Less about academics. Claire walks over to Taylor and says, I see what you're doing. Claire walks over to Taylor and says, I see what you're going to say, that I'm using your pain to capitalize it, but I really want this place to change. Taylor says, this is typical. I snap and you end up smelling like a rose, just like last time. What was last time? Jeremy drives out into the woods and Caitlin follows from a distance. Jeremy parks and pops his trunk, and Caitlin stalks him through the trees to spy on him. Booker visits Dylan again and says, you made the right decision. He says, let's get this over with, and lets her in. Booker shows him a photo of himself that she says, this picture is timestamped, saying you were at your dorm at the time Nolan was killed. He's like, I wasn't. And she goes, shush, 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 and says, it's real if I say it's real. He said, you'd manufacture evidence for me. And Booker says, if it's what I need. If I get what I need. Dylan says, I want this to be over, but it's hard. Booker says, well, pull yourself together and meet me in my office. And then Ava, as she leaves, Ava and Mona step out of the back, and Taylor's phone was recording the whole time. Mona says, once I matched up with the baseline we got this morning, we can prove she was telling the truth. And then we'll get her busted. Allison and Gabriel are back at her place.
Even if she was lying to him, isn't that still not?
She's still like well, I guess it's they're thinking that Claire would take action on this, which is their first mistake.
Yeah.
You know, I guess what else are you gonna do? But I guess you could go to the cops with it. Allison and Gabriel are back at her, but then the cops also they're under their thumb, so you're kind of stuck. Oof, just kind of like the world. You're really going to go to the police about the police harassing you? Because then it's going to come back on you, and they're probably not even going to get in trouble. They're maybe just going to get suspended for a little while, and you're going to go through a lengthy trial process. Allison and Gabriel are back at her place. They kiss on the couch while she gets a text. It's a text from Mona that says, we got what we needed. She apologized for the distractions. And Gabriel says, I understand being close to your students. It drives my wife crazy. And Allison's like, oh, you're married? He's like, I teach in my class about why an open relationship works for my wife and I. And Allison's like, well, I'm trying to avoid drama right now. And Gabriel's like, I understand it's not drama, but like, I won't push. And it's like, I hope we can still be friends. And she's like, yeah, let's meet for coffee later. Egg on your face, Allison, for your assumptions. Thinking he's a sleazeball. Jeremy sorts through power tools in his trunk. He drills through the back of his laptop until it breaks. All right, I like this part. And then
so funny.
And then throws it into the river. And then Caitlin answers a call from Ava, and she says the plan worked. She tells them that she'll call him back and hangs up. Dylan's like, I guess it's time to pack up. Should I tell my professor or Andrew first? Ava says, maybe the ethics committee will understand when they hear about what Booker has done to us. Dylan says, if I get kicked out, I don't know if I'll miss it. Ava tells him he belongs here. Dylan has a flashback to the friends hanging out. We once again get them throwing packing peanuts at each other, but we get a synopsis of pretty much the whole season. Dylan says he'll fight like hell to stay here and be happy for Ava and Caitlin at the very least. Ava comes home to Nolan's old shirt on her bed. Flashback, she wakes up on Christmas to Nolan on bed, but then he comes in without his shirt off, wearing a Santa hat and a beard with a bag of presents. He talks very sweetly to her, and he says, nothing makes me happier than seeing you happy. Back in the present, she folds his shirt and puts it back in her keepsake box. Mona walks Allison through the plan on matching the two Booker recordings to see when she was lying versus telling the truth, and then take it to Claire. She gets a notification from Mason for a rematch. Mona types, I want to, but, and deletes it. She then deletes his message. Ava gets coffee with Zach. Mona gets a ring at her door, and it's Mason. He's like, I don't want to do anything to get you into trouble, but I can't stop thinking about you. And then Mona grabs him, and they hook up. Taylor visits Allison. Taylor says, I want to give my mom the evidence about Booker. I want her to see how valuable I am, so then I can get access to Beacon Guard. Allison says, Mona doesn't trust you, and Taylor says, but you do. Caitlin goes up to Jeremy's car and finds it empty. He sneaks up behind her and says, you shouldn't have followed me. Get in the car. The end.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Mona says, don't gossip in the bathroom because Big Brother's watching to see if you wash your hands. But like, what is it actually watching for? Why is Beacon in the potty?
Why? Yeah. Why in the mirrors? Why was...
Is it in all mirrors? Because at one point in one of the episodes, Mona taps her own mirror.
Right. Oh, yeah. She like looks behind it, doesn't it? Yeah. So in the bathroom mirror specifically.
Or does hers also have it? She doesn't know. Or does Allison's have it? She knows Allison's has
true.
it because she... Or maybe it's just the headpiece.
Yeah. It could be behind the glass.
I don't know. But Taylor doesn't think it's there. Or at least shouldn't tell us, as you said last time. We don't know. She could be lying.
And maybe she's lying. Because I think at the end of this episode, she seems to know the most. At least not... I don't think she knows anything too concrete, but Taylor seems at least the one to be the most canny of like, let me give this to Claire, so then Claire would be like, oh, look at how resourceful you are. Okay, let me tell you about what's going on, which makes the most sense to me.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Would you trust Taylor to turn in the information on Booker?
Not for the reason that they seem to be of like getting Booker out of there. But I think Taylor's game is the correct one of you will then have someone on the inside.
Okay.
And I think you could trust Taylor with that.
Do we trust Gabriel?
No, absolutely not. But I don't think it's going to come up again, though.
You don't think he's going to come up again? You think it was just a quick little kiss and then she was like,
I don't know, maybe. Because it kind of seemed what it was trying to do is like Allison is trying this on, like trying to move on. And then, you know, it runs it of like foibles of love, of like trying to figure out her place again, of like potentially dating people, opening herself up now that her divorce is final. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But maybe he'll come up again and it'll just be like, actually, he was lying. But there's a piece, I didn't write it down, and I thought it did come up. When... I think it was in this episode. Allison and Taylor are having a heart-to-heart, and Allison feels bad about like not being able to find time like
to FaceTime her kids.
Yeah, exactly. And then Taylor is like, well, but they know you're working really hard for them, and like that's like should count for something. And I'm like, she ran away from them.
Yeah, they don't know anything. Also, aren't they like toddlers?
Yeah, she doesn't live there anymore.
We learned, though, that Allie's getting her master's. What do you think she's getting her master's degree in?
Education.
English?
Oh, right. English. Yeah, it wouldn't be education. Yeah. Yeah, it'd have to be English. Like comp ed or something, maybe.
Okay.
Which is fun. I guess maybe that's like an interest she took on, but we didn't get that a lot.
She taught English in the fast forward, and she's reading Lolita, and like she's always reading when we get flashbacks of her.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ava is our coder, our code girl. She's right. Her software slays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mona is caught off guard by this.
Yes, but also we realize that Jeremy has next level encryption. Is Jeremy sketch or is he just very data aware?
Yeah, I think both. I like him just being like, I just need to like lock down like my taxes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. Maybe it's his tax return.
That's right. I'm assuming
he password protects all his documents.
Yeah. I don't know why he's keeping work files on his personal computer.
I don't think he is.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think it's work files.
You don't think it's BHU or Beacon Guard related?
Oh, I guess maybe if he's stealing data.
Oh, maybe.
But like, why on his personal device? Because they talk about how if he was doing things for the Hotchkiss family or whatever, like it would be on his work computer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he stumbled onto something and he's like, ooh, they're up to bad things and I need to try and break them.
But instead he's like, I'll throw away the evidence so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, if someone was able to find this, I need to get rid of this. I don't know, though.
I don't either.
Sketchy British man. Nothing new to PLL.
Where do you think he's taking her? What do you think do you think he's got like a spot, or is he just like, we're going to drive and I'm going to explain this to you?
I think he's going to explain what he's been... I think he is trying to do something against Beacon Guard. He found out something about Beacon Guard. And he's like taking her, he's like, see, this is where they...
Well, you hated Nolan.
Yeah.
You think it's footage of him killing Nolan?
No.
Like recorded it.
Hey guys.
Hi, besties.
Eh, I guess it could be that. I guess it could be.
I don't think it's that. I was just being silly.
I had also guessed, I think, last episode that he could be the killer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's an option. I just don't think it's like evidence on his own computer.
Right.
Okay. Should Ava be telling Zach about her whole Nolan situationship? Relationship? Is it really a relationship? Do you think it matters?
I don't think it matters at this point.
What's Zach's angle? Is he just
Boy's
nice
dead,
guy?
and the only reason she was keeping it is because no one asked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. What's Zach's
What's
angle?
Zach's angle? Is he just a nice guy? He's like, you know what? I forgive you, and also like you're cute, and I'd like for you to buy me coffee.
Right, exactly. Yeah, sure. I'll go with that.
Okay.
I could.
It's another, like, it's almost like, remember like when we had our Spencer and Alex moment at the beginning, and you're like, oh, this rich girl and this middle class boy
Exactly.
who plays competitive tennis but has a job at the club.
Well, in this, it's like Ava's like, well, he wasn't at his job, and it's like, oh, he works 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Class awareness.
2 on-campus jobs.
Ava, your class is showing. But yeah, we'll just go with romantic interest.
Okay.
I can see there being a turn where it's like, oh, Zach is actually, I don't know, doing some shit.
Yeah. There's
I
not
wouldn't
much
be
to
surprised.
say about the sexy Santa shit. But what I will say is I want more about Nolan, because he was obviously so good to Ava until we meet him at the end when he's cheating on her in her room.
What did you say? You were like, does he have a split personality?
I was just like, is it, or is this like a twin thing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's what was that movie?
The Prestige.
The Prestige, yeah.
Spoilers for.
It's an old movie.
I blurted it out there. I was like, it's kind of like the big thing that you find out. One of the big things, I guess.
There's so much more.
Yeah.
The weirder plot line, spoilers for The Prestige.
Yeah, okay, just jump ahead if you don't want to hear anything else.
Give us like 20 seconds. This won't take me very long. But the weirder plot line is the fact that the other guy is cloning himself.
So
That was a
it
strange
goes
film.
so off the rails.
It starts so realistic, and then you're like, oh.
We are in the realm of make-believe here.
Oh.
David Bowie has sold him a cloning machine.
But anyway.
That's why he does magic tricks. He could have possibly just used practical tricks.
Back to The Perfectionists, not The Prestige.
But don't you see, he's killing a part of himself each night by committing himself to his craft.
Oh my God. Okay. Dylan and Booker. What's Booker's angle? Why is she willing to help Dylan? Is she actually willing to help Dylan, or is it going to come back that she's lying?
I do think she's
Do you
willing
think she
to help
lied,
Dylan.
or do you think she lied the whole time she talked to Mona, because she's like, then she knew it was a psychological test?
I do think that Booker fell for this. I just don't think it's going to have the effect that they hope. Of like, ooh, and Booker's going to get off us and we're going to be scot-free. Because she is the authorities.
Mm-hmm.
She is the law. And that's not going to like move anything. If anything, she's going to cut them off, or they're going to like lose the recording. I think that's where we're headed with this. Or Taylor's going to take it and they're going to be like, I can't believe you gave it to Taylor. I think that's actually where it's going to go.
Speaking of the law, well, it's not illegal. It's probably against the code of conduct that Mona is sleeping with a student she advises.
Yeah.
Do you think it makes no sense for Mona to do something that could get her in trouble with this A person or Beacon Guard or whatever when she knows they're all being watched?
Right. And you think she would be less trusting of Mason. Unless she's just like, screw it.
Yeah,
like
this
he
is
could
fun.
be. Yeah.
I give her that, you know?
Yeah. And I think the way that like it is probably against the code of conduct, but like you hear about professors and students and stuff. It's just like weird.
It's just weird. Well, and we don't know we don't know. At least they're all adults, so one up on that. But we will say Mona always goes for a younger man.
Mm-hmm.
Mike.
Mason.
She likes an M.
Okay, but who it should actually be? Okay, and when I say who it should actually be, I just mean a character that has a bit more like interesting stakes for like a romantic relationship here. Like if it was like someone like Taylor, where she's like butting heads with them because of how like smart they are, you think because of like that her and Mason were playing chess together, that there'd be like more like, ooh, they're trying to outwit each other, or there's like their smarts and intelligence bringing them together. But it's just like, wow, we share a hobby. Isn't that hot?
I kept hoping it was Booker because I was like, that'd be just like, it's very Killing Eve.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Oh, that's a good poll. I haven't thought about that.
Only like the first season though. I don't think I ever watched it after that. And I heard it really jumped the shark at the end.
Yeah, I heard it did too. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right? Fleabag, only did that first season.
Oh.
Anyways, but yeah, like just because like she's playing chess. That's like the mind game, and they're just like, wow, we love chess. Isn't that cool? And at least with like Taylor, it's like they are antagonistic to each other, and Taylor is also really smart. So it's like if you could have like that sort of dynamic, that'd be interesting. But it's not.
Last but not least, where is Mona's safe place?
Right up here, baby. In her mind. Just like Sherlock's mind palace. It's so funny that it brings up her safe space.
Yeah, Booker's like, where's your safe space?
Go to your safe space.
Well, so Booker has access, but she doesn't know everything about like Beacon Guard because obviously she doesn't have that information.
Right. Why would and also it's because Mona was talking to Beacon Guard, and the Beacon Guard representative, it seems like the literal like who like the person that mans the telephone is like the Beacon Guard operator is like, oh, go to your safe space.
Yeah.
So it seems like that should be in the system. A safe space, maybe maybe in the music area or something. I'm trying to think of like what Mona would be, specifically Mona, like on like the campus. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Maybe there's a dollhouse.
Ooh, that wouldn't be a safe space though.
Nah, I don't know. I guess music. They may be in the music area or something. Wherever the like a chess or something is.
There you go. All right. Well.
All right. Let me just get set up real quick.
You want to take us to office hours? I mean, yeah. I think you can take us to office hours. Or we go to office hours. You're already sitting there.
Oh.
Are you the TA?
Well, that's all. Class is finished, and we're gonna now head over to. God,
you
so
can't
far
reach
away.
it.
I scooted. Yeah, 1 minute.
You scooted too far away. There you go.
Office hours.
Huh?
It's too far away. Sometimes if I'm a little too close, I feel like my microphone's just like taking over my face.
That's how I feel.
Okay. Welcome to office hours. The final office hours for the Perfectionist. And then I have to find a new bit. So, okay. Let's try and give final...
Well, no, you can do one on the last one because we're not getting answers.
Am I going to want to do one on the next one? We don't have answers.
That's fair.
I guess we'll see. Yeah,
but you're the TA, you're the professor. You get to decide what the answers are.
Yeah, okay. I'll do one. We'll do one final one on Pie in the Sky.
Okay.
But okay, we're going to say that Mason killed Nolan on the roof with the candlestick. And I think it is because Nolan also reaches out to someone, I think, as his insurance policy. That could be Mason. Because he reaches out, they like need to meet. And Mason was already contacted or involved with, or was involved with Beacon Guard because Mason harbored all this. Maybe Claire brought Mason in as like, keep an eye on my son. And then Mason
She did say at the funeral, like, I know you haven't been close lately, but childhood friends are friends for life or something like that.
So maybe she was actually having him keep tabs on him. And since, him and Nolan were hanging out, but Mason was still his insurance policy, or maybe that insurance policy is all made up. But either way, they meet on the roof after not talking for a while, and Nolan wants to unearth things around Beacon Guard and says he needs his help, and Mason's like, I can't do that, and maybe threatens to come out with something about Mason, and then Mason's like, you definitely can't do that, and they get in a fight, and then Mason pushes him over and feels really bad about this. And is wrecked with guilt, but is trying it, but is still being manipulated by Claire to be like, you need to find out who killed Nolan. And so I think it was the friends. And so then that's why he starts being mean to the friends. And then it kind of seems like, it maybe wasn't them. So I need you to also look into Mona and Allison. And so that's where, it works out. I will pursue Mona romantically because we have this thing going on with our chess game and all that. This all breaks down where I don't know what the hell they're doing with Beacon Guard. Maybe they're selling a bunch of student data and this is illegal with all the stuff they're collecting. Because Claire wanted to put this together because of all the people in her life that had been died. And maybe she had a sister named Angela, and that's who Ray was involved with and is avenging. And this all comes back to when they're kids, and Angela was happened to get, no, because it seems like she like killed herself. Maybe there was like the campus, the culture was terrible and was either like bullied or like the target of people. And so Claire vowed that this would never happen, was using Beacon Guard as a way to keep tracks on people so they can control their environment of BHU. But then this got out of hand with their collecting way too much data, and now it's being used for like other purposes. And so now she's involved deep, and there's all kinds of illegal activity of like selling data or using data on students.
Okay.
What else is in the air? Taylor wants to get in close because she knows her mom's up to nefarious shit and wants to figure it out too. And knows more than she's telling everybody else.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, great job.
Thank you so much. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you for hosting Office Hours.
You're welcome. Anytime. Except maybe not next week, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how you feel.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh my gosh, when you do Original Sin, are you going to call it Confession?
Ooh, if there is something Catholic coded in Original Sin?
I don't know if there is.
Oh.
But canonically, Emily's Catholic. And
that's true.
Canonically, we're raised Catholic.
That's right. But that's what I was saying.
Catholics.
If it was like woven in there of like some religious iconography and things, I'd be excited for Original Sin. Mm-hmm. I mean, I already am, but.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, any final thoughts?
Nah. Yeah. Got it all out.
Just let it out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah, we did.
With you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had lots of complaints, but I think that's just because we wanted the show to be a bit better.
Also, complaining's fun.
It can't be.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a pastime of mine.
That's right. And we pass it on to you.
Yeah. Enjoy complaining with us. Just don't complain about us, please.
And what you can do instead is rate us 5 stars on your audio podcast platform of choice. It helps us, supposedly.
Allegedly.
We
don't know.
Surface
It
things.
makes us feel good.
It does, yeah.
If we see it. We don't see all of them because we don't see Spotify.
No.
I don't know if you can rate on Spotify.
Yeah, I have no idea. Again, apparently you can leave comments and things, so have fun. But we appreciate any positive comments, any ratings and all that. Even comments on YouTube and things like that. We love talking to people. And you can also send us emails at deadendspcast@gmail.com if you've got questions or things you want us to read on the last episode for the Perfectionists here next week.
Or if you have a theory of the answers, like since we know we don't get all of the answers in the episode, send us your fan fiction.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you have a theory for what would have happened,
send it to us. Yeah, and if you're comfortable with us sharing it, tell us in the message or email, and we will share it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And deadendspcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment on YouTube if you want. And you can find us on YouTube at dead_ends. And you can also find us on then all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. So for now, we're still here. And we're going to find out some things.
We're going to find out. That's what we're going to do. We fucked around. Now we're going to find out. Okay, love you. Bye.